Stop. Teach this now. Sometimes current events just get the better of your lesson plans. So when should you stop your perfectly planned set of lessons and teach instead what's happening right outside? Hey, it could be a hurricane that's making landfall. In this case, Hurricane Laura back in late August 2020, on my twin's birthday, hitting Cameron, Louisiana. Maybe lightning has struck right near your school and you really just have to talk about it. Maybe it's early spring and that continental polar air is clashing with the maritime tropical air and there's a greater chance of tornadoes. Then it might be time to teach that lesson about mesocyclone detection done here by the National Severe Storms Laboratory of NOAA. Or you live around the Great Lakes area and lake effect snow is definitely bound to happen several times during those winter months. Then you might want to share with your students the Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory data that helps predict these types of storms. Or a few years ago when COVID hit, we certainly stopped and taught how this particular respiratory virus is important to understand so that we can prepare ourselves for this pandemic. In this video, I'm going to share with you the lesson slides I showed my students this morning because we live in central New York and we have been bogged down by the smoke coming from Canada as a result of these fires that have been burning in Canada up in Quebec. The smoke was so bad and definitely has never happened like this ever before since I can remember that I was back to wearing masks outdoors yesterday and today while walking to and from school. I even double masked today because the air quality was that poor. So as I tell you the story of what I shared with my students, I want to let you know that if you would like to have the lesson slides and many, many more resources in terms of particularly science and chemistry lessons, check the link in the description below, and those handouts can be yours to keep. So the first question I told my students that I would ask is, where the heck is this smoke coming from? So we're seeing here a satellite image, and you can see a lot of white stuff in the picture, but often it helps when these images are put together and turned into a GIF or perhaps a video. So in this GIF animation, you can really see the air pattern moving southwards. And so the smoke must be coming from the north. Canada. So this is actually a Canadian website that allows people to keep track of where the pollution is, especially related to forest fires. And here you can see that exact website, firesmoke.ca, in action, showing you current data right now, where that pollution, that smoke is going. And like I said earlier, I teach in central New York, and this is where that whole plume is moving across. The Environmental Protection Agency has a website called Air Now, and it shows you a map of North America where the pollution is currently the heaviest. So my students were definitely aware yesterday and this morning about the so-called AQI, the Air Quality Index, and we started to talk a little bit more about that. What do these numbers mean? So let's take a look. It's a numerical scale that provides a simplified and standardized representation of the outdoor air quality. And obviously outdoors is going to have an effect on indoors. It takes into account multiple pollutants, not just one, and translates their concentration into a single index value. Now, you should take note that the AQI jumps a little bit in terms of their numbers: 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 150, 150 to 200, and then it makes a jump of 100 from 200 to 300, and then 300 all the way up to possibly 500 and above. So earlier today, around 1 p.m. this afternoon, we had an AQI reading of 438. And that was based on PM 2.5. What is that? So as I'm telling my students this story, I'm actually learning. I didn't know that PM, besides standing for past meridian, the afternoon, actually stands for particulate matter. The smallest, PM 2.5, at 2.5 micrometers or microns, really refers to combustion particles, organic compounds, metals, etc. So we then relate that in my chemistry classes to the combustion requiring oxygen of organic matter, which involves carbon, and then producing the gas carbon dioxide. PM10 is a larger particulate matter, and it involves dust, pollen, and mold, again in the same unit of measurement, micrometers. But the air quality index is not just concerned with the particulate matter. There are other gases in the atmosphere that it records, including nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ozone, which can both be beneficial in the stratosphere but harmful in the troposphere, carbon monoxide, very indicative of incomplete combustion. And we had a discussion this morning in class about how carbon monoxide really competes with oxygen for binding to hemoglobin. And so it's a odorless gas that definitely is very poisonous. And the other pollutants are other volatile organic compounds, which allowed me to quickly review with them what volatility means again. Check the video linked above about a volatility lab that I do with my chemistry students. So again, air quality index really deals with these pollutants that I just discussed, and it relates to pollutants that influence the outdoor air quality. Now, the fact that we're dealing with forest fires here also means that we have a lot more carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide levels indicate potential indoor air quality issues as a result of the pollutants in the outdoor environment, possibly by these forest fires coming from Canada. And this particular meter instrument shows you the measurements of CO2 indoors in parts per million. Carbon dioxide is, of course, that same greenhouse gas that scientists have been tracking for many hundreds of thousands of years and has been known to increase very much lately and is a huge anthropogenic cause of climate change. Carbon dioxide up, as a result, temperature goes up. As a result of my stopping my plan for teaching today and instead focusing on what was happening right outside our window, it underscored to the students, in this particular case, the importance of understanding concentration, understanding the concentration of possible air pollutants that is affecting our respiratory system as a result of breathing in these combustion particles. And a couple of ways of specifying concentration that I've taught to my students early in the chemistry curriculum is parts per million as well as molarity. The air pollutant concentration is often expressed in parts per billion or in micrograms per cubic meter. See my video linked above for more information and lesson plans concerning concentration, in particular as it relates to molarity and acid and bases. Carbon dioxide, as I talked about earlier, is of course an acid, carbonic acid. This particular current event, the forest fires and the effect on the air quality index, is related to the following next generation science standards and New York State science learning standards. As the concentration of these air quality index values increases, you're going to have more rapid reaction rates, whatever the reaction might be. Greater temperatures are going to influence reaction rate. These forest fires may happen more quickly if there's less moisture in the air. So collision theory and rates of reactions apply to this particular concept. In conclusion, when you're thinking about your lesson plan, if there's a current event happening outdoors that is STEM related and it applies to your overall curriculum, think a moment and stop what your plan originally was and use that as a teachable moment. Dutch lesson for today. So teach we teach our students, and learn, we learn from, I don't know, textbook, doing research online, reading books. In Dutch, there's really only one word for that. You're seeing not one but two words here. The official word for teaching is onderwijzen. Teach, onderwijzen. I don't really feel like we use that word a lot in the Dutch language, so instead what I'm going to teach with you, repeat after me, is to teach, learn, and that is called leren. So onderwijzen, not as common. Leren is what I'm learning you now. What I'm teaching you now. Thank you for watching this video. Bedankt voor het kijken. En tot ziens. See you in the next video.